That will never work. The story of Netflix. Summary of Chapter 5. Show me the money. Introduction. OPM. To be the next Silicon Valley startup, Randolph needed the thing that everyone in Silicon Valley talked about. OPM, or other people's money. Randolph's $2 million investor, Reed, was on the board of the company, so technically he didn't count. Randolph didn't have any investors that didn't work for the company, and that meant he didn't know if there were people other than the team members who believed Netflix would actually work. So, it was time for him to get some investors. Alexandre Balkansky. Randolph's first target was Alexandre Balkansky. Balkansky was the owner of a company who was a major player in DVD and video technology, C-Cube Microsystems. Alexandre was perfect because he understood the DVD market and why a business like this would or wouldn't work. When the time for the pitch came, Randolph was ready for a lot of interruptions and questions. However, he made it through half of the presentation until Balkansky spoke. What he said is that their idea was trash and that it would never work. This verbal lashing from a major player and the product they were selling made Randolph feel worried for the first time managing this company. Steve Kahn. Randolph decided to play it safer with his second bet and pitched his business to one of his friends and his former boss, Steve Kahn. Kahn was also on the board of Netflix, and now Randolph was asking him to be an investor as well. This was a very safe bet for Randolph because the $25,000 he was asking for wasn't outrageous, and Kahn believed in the idea. Most of all, Randolph knew he'd invest because Kahn was his friend. Kahn did invest the money, and Randolph secured his first outside investor. Kahn still didn't think the business would work, but he had to invest because it was his friend. He actually said he thought he'd never see those $25,000 again, but he ended up making much more than that. Mother Dearest. The final pitch, and the pitch that was the hardest for Randolph, was to his mom. His mom was a successful entrepreneur who owned a real estate firm that put him and his siblings through college, so she definitely knew the position he was in. His mother enjoyed a splurge now and then, and Randolph knew she'd invest in his company because she had enough money and she was his mom and believed in him. Randolph still dreaded the pitch and may have made a few errors that would have lost him a different investor, but his mom agreed to invest in the company, and Randolph secured another investor. Conclusion. Randolph needed OPM, or other people's money, to get his business started and for people to take it seriously. His first attempt to get those funds was with Alexandre Balkansky, but Balkansky was not a fan. He called the pitch trash and said it would never work. For his next two pitches, he went with the safer route, family and friends. First, he asked his former boss, Steve Kahn, and then his mother. They both said yes, and Randolph received some much-needed funding.